Hello students, welcome to Target IES. In this video I am going to continue with module number 10 of soil mechanics. काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग सा मॉड्यूल है और काफ़ी छोटा सा मॉड्यूल है, ठीक है. सो हियर वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस यूनिफाइड सॉइल क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टम USCS, यूनिफाइड सॉइल क्लासिफिकेशन सिस्टम, और in India it is also called as Indian Soil Classification System. Okay, ISCS or USCS. This USCS जो भी है, this was first given by कैसेगेंड्रे, the same guy, the कैसेगेंड्रे जो हमने पढ़ा था प्रीवियस चैप्टर में, उसी ने दिया था ये फर्स्ट टाइम USCS. You can make a note of this. Okay, first time USCS was introduced, this type of classification was introduced by कैसेगेंड्रे. So now you already know what is fine soil and coarse soil. See, in the previous modules, okay, you know, if we have sand and gravel, we call it as coarse soil. If we have clay and silt, we call it as fine soil. You already know this basic classification, right? Now, in this ISCS, we will be seeing silty soil, clayey soil, well-graded soil, poorly graded soil. Similarly, for gravel, well-graded gravel, poorly graded gravel, silty gravel, clayey gravel, etc. Okay, so many classifications are there. Don't worry, just listen to me. I promise you that you will never make a mistake again from this part. Very important part, but you will never make a mistake. So first, what is the first step in this classification? ISCS classification. First step is to determine whether it is a coarse soil or fine soil. Arre sand nahi baba, soil. So first step is to determine it is a coarse grain soil or fine grain soil. प्लीज़ करेक्ट, सैंड लिख दिया मैंने गलती से. ओके, छोटी छोटी गलतियाँ होते रहती है, बट आई होप यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? इट इज़ सॉइल नॉट सैंड. सैंड तो सॉइल का एक स्पेसिफिक साइज है, फ्रॉम 75 माइक्रोमीटर टू 4.75 mm. यू ऑलरेडी नो इट. सो कैसे हो सकता है? ओके, सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल द स्टेप 1 इज टेक 75 माइक्रोन सी. ओके, just take 75 micron sieve. If the particle is passing through 75 micron sieve, it will be clay or it could also be silt, right? So these particles are fine grain, and whatever particles which are not passing this 75 micron sieve, it will be coarse grain. Common sense की बात है. Okay, common sense की बात है. Now take this 75 micron sieve and do the sieve analysis for the soil sample, whichever you have. So if more than 50% of particles are retained on this, इसका क्या मतलब है? You have more coarse grain soil compared to that of fine grain soil, so we'll be considering this as coarse grain only. Common sense की बात है. Okay, I hope you understood this point. So similarly, if more than 50% has penetrated this sieve and it has passed through it, if more than 50% has passed through it, then we will be calling it as fine grain soil now. Okay, if more than 50% is passing, we will be classifying it as fine grain soil. This is the first classification. Okay, so once we get this coarse grain soil or fine grain soil, we have completely different methods to classify further. Okay, so far from the step 1 we have classified as coarse grain and fine grain, or fine soil or coarse soil. So now we have different classification for coarse grain and we have different classification for fine grain. ये fine grain का बाद में देखेंगे, फर्स्ट हम देखेंगे coarse grain. From step 2 लिख लेना इधर clearly. This is for coarse grain soil only. Okay, अगर fine grain है तो ये step करने की ज़रूरत बिल्कुल भी नहीं है. Okay, now for coarse grain soil what do we have to do? We have to take 2 sieves now. Okay, we have to take 2 sieves. The first sieve is 4.75 mm and bottom sieve is same 75 micrometer. So what is the size of sand? याद है, कल पढ़ा था ना लास्ट मॉड्यूल में, मॉड्यूल नंबर 9. Our sand specification is 75 micrometer to 4.75 mm. If something is more than 4.75 mm, it will be our it will be our G, gravel, right? याद है ना? So gravel is more than 4.75 and sand is in the range of 75 micrometer to 4.75 mm. So we are taking 4.75 mm sieve. तो अपना कॉमन सेंस लगा के बताना, if some solids are retained on this, will this be gravel or sand? It will be gravel because 4.75 से पास नहीं हो रहा है, it is greater than 4.75 dia, so it will be gravel. If something is passed this 4.75 mm and retain on this 75 micron, इसका क्या मतलब है? What is this? This is sand. Agreed? This is sand. So just you have to see which is more. In your soil obviously आपका gravel भी रहेगा, आपका sand भी रहेगा. Common sense की बात है, because it is you are taking well graded soil, it will have all the different sizes. So gravel भी रहेगा, sand भी रहेगा. Just see which is more. G part is more or S part is more. Gravel part is more or soil part is more. अगर gravel part ज़्यादा है, we will be classifying it as gravel. अगर sand part ज़्यादा है, we will be classifying it as sand. Common sense की बात है. Okay. For example, you have taken 1 kg sample. So what is the weight of sample you have taken? 1 kg. So out of this, 300 grams were retained on your 4.75 mm sieve. Okay, kitna? 300 grams. And on this 75 micrometer sieve, let us say 500 grams were retained. Kitna? 500 grams. 300, 500, 800. What happened to remaining 200? See, some material is also passing this 75 micrometer sieve, right? Common sense की बात है, silt भी रहेगा, clay भी रहेगा. So let that be 200 grams. Okay. So now can you classify whether this as coarse grain or whether you can classify this as gravel or sand? Common sense की बात है. You can clearly see sand is 500 grams, gravel is only 300 grams. So clearly we have to classify it as sand because your S value is greater than G value. So we are calling it as sand. Okay. अगर case reverse होता, for example, the weight retained here is 500 grams, here weight retained was 300 grams and left was 200 grams. So can you classify now? It will be classified as gravel. Whatever is more, just classify it as that name. Simple. So now you have classified. First of all, we have seen two types of classification. Step 1 में हमने क्या किया? We have classified as fine grain or coarse grain. In coarse grain now we have classified as sand and gravel. Okay, जो भी ज़्यादा रहेगा उसका नाम हम दे देंगे. If sand is more, we will be calling it as sand. If gravel is more, we will be calling it as gravel. That's it. बट इतना ही नहीं है, हम इसे सफिक्स ऐड करेंगे. ओके, सफिक्स और प्रीफिक्स हम ऐड करते रहेंगे. सो व्हाट इज दैट? लेट अस ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. आई हैव टोल्ड यू इन द अबो एग्जाम्पल. जस्ट अबो एग्जाम्पल में मैंने कहा, सी 300 grams was present here, 500 grams was present here and 200 grams of passing through it, right? So certain amount of soil is also passing through 75 micron meter in this above case. याद है ना? Based on this percentage fineness. Okay, percentage of solids. When I'm talking about percentage fineness, right? It is percentage of solids which are passing through this 75 micrometer sieve. Okay, so it is percentage of solids in weight passing through this 75 micrometer sieve. So based on that, we are further classifying our soil. Okay, so I am dividing this based on percentage fineness. I am dividing it into 3 parts. The first part is percentage fineness less than 5%. Okay, इसका मतलब है if you have taken 1 kg sample, so percentage fineness less than 5%, यानी the soil which is passing through this 75 micrometer sieve, right? It is less than 50 grams. It is less than 50 grams because 5% means 5 by 100 into 1 kg is 1000 grams. So I will be getting 50 grams. So out of 1 kg sample, only less than 50 grams are passing through this 75 micrometer sieve. Yani less than 50 grams is present in the form of clay or silt. Common sense की बात है ना? I hope you understood. The quantity is very minute. Okay, quantity is very minute in this case. So next case will be when your percentage fineness is greater than 12%. So if I am taking 1 kg sample, so almost 120 grams are present because greater than 12% percentage fineness means more than 12% of weight has been passed this 75 micrometer sieve. So 12% यानी कितना? In 1 kg it will be 120 grams. So more than 120 grams. It could be anything. It could be 200 grams also. It could be 250 grams also. But याद रखना, it can't be greater than 500 grams. Okay. In 1 kg sample, it cannot be greater than 500 grams. Why? Because if more than 50% is passing 75 micrometer sieve, then we will be classifying it as fine grain, not coarse grain. So if it is greater than 12% but not more than 50%, then we will be having other type of classification. क्या है हम डिटेल से देख लेंगे. So first classification when your percentage fineness was less than 5%. Second classification when percentage fineness is greater than 12%. And third classification when your percentage fineness is in between 5% and 12%. Okay, so these three classifications we will see in detail. No issues, perfect हो जाओगे, कोई doubt नहीं आएगा. See, when let us see the first case, when percentage fineness is less than 5%. Okay, so what does this mean? 5% से कम मटेरियल है आपके पास विच इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ क्ले एंड सिल्ट इन दिस कोर्स ग्रेन सॉइल. अग्रीड. एग्जाम्पल समझ में आ गया था ना आपको. इफ आई हैव 1 kg सैंपल less than 50 grams, it could be 5 grams also, it could be 10 grams also, is present in the form of clay or silt, negligible amount. So what you have doing, we are neglecting. अगर negligible amount है तो neglect ही कर लो भाई, neglect कर दिया. So I am just classifying this gravel or sand as well graded or poorly graded. You remember from the last module, right? Last module only, right? I have taught you last module or last module. Module number 8, if I am not wrong. I have taught you what is well graded sample and poorly graded sample. If your coefficient of uniformity is greater than 4 and coefficient of curvature is in the range of 1 to 3, then we will be calling it as well graded gravel. If your coefficient of uniformity is greater than 6, then that will be for soil. Okay, if your coefficient of uniformity is greater than 6 and coefficient of curvature is in the range of 1 to 3, then we will be calling it as well graded sand. Okay, I hope you remember what is your CU, right? CU was D60 divided by D10. D10 को effective size भी कहते हैं, याद है ना? So what was your CC? CC was D30 square divided by D10 into D60. I hope you are perfect so far, right? So based on this CU and CC, coefficient of uniformity and coefficient of curvature, we can define the soil as well graded gravel or poorly graded gravel. If these specifications are obeyed, we will be calling it as well graded. If not obeyed, we will be calling it as poorly graded. Similarly, if these specifications greater than 6 and in the range of 1 to 3 are obeyed, well graded sand. If not obeyed, poorly graded sand. As simple as that. See, when I am writing well graded sand, it is not like well graded sand. WS nahi likhna hai. Okay, we have one specific way of writing. We have to write SW. Okay, because we already know it is sand. Okay, we are further classifying, तो उसके बाद ही आएगा. Okay, SW लिखेंगे, not WS. First, how to read? First we have to read this term and then we have to read the back term. So SW का मतलब होता है well graded sand. Similarly, what will is the meaning of GP? Can you tell? GP. P means poorly graded, G for gravel. So whenever you see GP, right, it is poorly graded gravel. I hope you can write these terms, right? काफ़ी important होते हैं छोटे एग्जाम्स के लिए, पूछ लेता है डायरेक्टली what is GW meaning. So it is well graded gravel. Okay, option में देगा gravel which is well graded or well graded gravel. So well graded gravel is more appropriate answer. Things are clear. Now let us see second type of classification, which is percentage fineness greater than 12%. Okay, so you understood by now, right? You are perfect. So if when you are sieving on 4.75, whatever is retaining, that will be gravel. What is retaining on 75 micrometer, that will be sand, and whatever is passing is your percentage fineness. Okay, so if I am giving 1 kg sample, for example, if more than 120 gram, it could be 200 gram, 300 gram, 350 gram, it doesn't matter, but less than 500 gram obviously, because we are talking about coarse grain classification only at present. Okay, so huge amount of thing are present in the form of clay and silt here. Agreed, because there is lot of particle which is easily passing through the 75 micron sieve. So there is lot of clay and silt content. So we are classifying here as silty gravel or clayey gravel, or you can say silty sand or clayey sand. How? Let us try to understand. Okay, we cannot ignore, because we have lot of silt and clay here. Okay, in the previous case we had only less than 5%, so we ignored, but here we have so much more than 12%, so we cannot ignore. Okay, so one more thing, sand is represented by S, right? So silt we cannot represent by S anymore, because S का तो sand ले लिया है, so silt we are representing by M. Okay, silt is represented by M. Things are clear. Now let us continue with percentage fineness when it is greater than 12. So coarse grain soil, first of all we are dividing whether it is gravel or sand. You know, whatever is more, that will be considered. Okay, if gravel is more than sand, we will be writing as gravel. If sand is more than gravel, we will be writing it as sand. So after that we are classifying this as whether it is a silty gravel or clayey gravel, or if we cannot exactly determine, we can write GMGC. That means gravel with silt and clay. Okay, how to write? I will tell you how to find out, how to classify whether it is a silty gravel or clayey gravel. You will know in the next 2 minutes. So before going into that, I will teach you one graph which is called as graph of a line. Okay, so it will be something like this. ये जो point है 0 नहीं है, it is 20. It is 20. Make a note. It is 20. It is not 0. So a line, if I am drawing with respect to origin 0 0, right, ये कुछ इस तरह से रहेगा. ये कुछ इस तरह से रहेगा. IP versus liquid limit. WL यानी liquid limit. Okay, you know as liquid limit is changing, your IP is changing, right? सो उसी का ग्राफ है. ए लाइन का इक्वेशन क्या है? वी हैव वन इक्वेशन फॉर दिस ए लाइन विच इज आई पी इज इक्वल्स टू 0.73 WL minus 20. WL minus 20. It is visible on your screen, right? IP is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. So that is the equation of this A line. Okay, so it gives relationship between your IP and WL. Okay, things are clear. So ये जो लाइन का है ना, ये कांस्टेंट ही रहेगा. फॉर वाटर कंटेंट, फॉर वेरियस वाटर कंटेंट, यू कैन फाइंड योर IP वैल्यूज करस्पॉन्डिंग टू दिस लाइन. ओके, नो इश्यूज, राइट? नाउ for the given soil sample, you have to check your IP for that water content. If it lies above this line, then we will be calling it as clay. If it lies below this line, we will be calling it as silt. आपके लिए इतना आप याद रख सकते हो ना? No issues, right? So this is called as A line. Okay, so ये जो 29.6 है ना, इसका एक इम्पोर्टेंस है, मैं आपको बाद में समझा दूंगा. No issues. See, so how to classify it as silt? Very simple. If your gravel is more than sand, first अपना G value आ गया. So if gravel is more than sand, G तो आ गया. If our silt content is more than clay, M आ गया. M represents silt. So how to know whether silt is greater than clay? Very simple. If your IP value is less than 4 or it is lying below A line in plasticity chart. Plasticity chart यानी वही है, A line वाला. Okay, so if it is lying below A line, we will be calling it as silt. As simple as that, right? Similarly, what will be GC? First of all, if gravel is more than sand, we will be writing G, and if your clay is more than silt, we will be writing C. How to get it? If your IP value is greater than 7, remember this, IP value should be greater than 7 and lying above A line, we will be classifying it as clay. So we are writing it as clayey gravel. Okay, if your IP value is ranging in between 4 to 7, then we will be classifying it as gravel with silt and sand, both इंटरमीडिएट रेंज है. सो हम कहेंगे ग्रेवल विथ सिल्ट एंड सैंड. सेम कॉपी पेस्ट हियर, कॉन्सेप्ट इज सेम. ओके, कुछ नहीं है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये दो आप कर लोगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल यही देखेंगे. जस्ट फॉर एग्जाम्पल क्लेई सैंड. सो क्लेई सैंड का क्या मतलब है? क्ले, first of all sand. If your sand content is more than gravel, then we will be classifying it as sand. Now clay, if your clay content is more than your silt, we will be classifying it as clay. How to get it? If your IP value is greater than 7 and it is above a line, we will be calling it as clay. As simple as that. We will be getting SC, clayey sand. Similarly, you can write for silty sand, silty clay. Okay, sand with silt and clay. Things are clear? I hope you are perfect, right? Now let us see what if it is in the range of 5% to 12%. Okay, अगर 1 kg sample ले लिए हो, so out of this the percentage fineness is somewhere in the range of 50 grams to 120 grams. Okay, ये इतना कम भी नहीं है जितना आप इग्नोर कर सकोगे. If it was less than 50 gram, you would be saying यार very less, ignoring. If it was more than 120 grams, you cannot ignore, you have to consider it. So now you are somewhere in between. What we are doing? Very simple. इफ लेस देन 5% का जो भी था, ग्रेटर देन 12% का जो भी था, हम ये दो कंबाइन कर लेंगे इसमें. ओके, वी आर जस्ट कंबाइनिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट्स ऑफ लेस देन 5% एंड द कॉन्सेप्ट ग्रेटर देन 5%. सी, लेस देन 5% कॉन्सेप्ट वॉज जस्ट डिवाइडेड इंटू वेल ग्रेडेड और पुअरली ग्रेडेड. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ग्रेवल का था वेल ग्रेडेड ग्रेवल और पुअरली ग्रेडेड ग्रेवल. इन greater than 12% case, percentage finer greater than 12% case, our gravel was classified into silty gravel, clayey gravel or GMGC. Okay, gravel with silt and clay. So in this range 5% to 12%, you just have to combine this. So you can write GW any one of this, GW any one of this, for example GW GM. okay, इसका क्या मतलब है, well graded gravel with silt, as simple as that. okay, well graded gravel with silt, or you can write this term here, well graded gravel with clay. okay, as simple as that. okay, ये नीचे का इग्नोर कर दो, ज़रूरत नहीं है. I hope things are clear, right? Or you can write poorly graded gravel with silt, or you can write poorly graded gravel with clay. The same thing continues for sand also. Sand का भी ditto copy paste concept. okay, ditto copy paste concept. Now let us try to see what are the various parameters which you have to meet to get well graded gravel with silt. So first of all, to get gravel, what was our first condition? Our gravel content should be more than sand. okay, to get silt, our silt content should be more than clay. okay, to get well graded, WA well graded, to get well graded, you know the specifications, your CU value should be greater than 4 and your CC value, यहाँ पे 4 लिख दिया गलती से, you already know, you are masters by this time, your CC value should be in the range of 1 to 3. okay, so your CC in the range of 1 to 3, then we will be calling it as well graded. So all these conditions are satisfying, then we will be calling it as GW GM. okay, obviously it is silt, so below A line. okay, things are clear. Similarly, you can write for all these things, right? Well graded gravel with clay, poorly graded gravel with silt, poorly graded gravel with clay. Similarly, well graded sand with silt, well graded sand with clay. For example, let us write for this well graded sand with clay. So first of all, to be classified as sand, our sand content should be greater than clay. First clause. Second clause क्या हो जाएगा? Clay. So to classified as clay, our clay content should be greater than our silt. How to know? See, your IP value should be greater than 7 and it should be lying above A line. So in short, you can write lying above A line. okay, and to be called as well graded, what is your range? Your CU range should be greater than 6 for sand and CC range should be in the range of 1 to 3. as simple as that. ये सारे अगर match होते हैं, then we will be calling it as well graded sand with clay. Things are clear. I hope you are perfect by this time. okay, everything is clear. Now let us see this graph. I have told you this A line, right? I have told you this A line. okay, there is one more line which is called as U line. okay, इसका एक upper limit है. So whatever value you take, you won't be classifying it as clay. There is one upper limit value. That line is called as U line. upper limit line we are calling it as U line. okay, इसके ऊपर कोई soil sample हमें नहीं आता है. इसके नीचे from this A line to U line, so whatever you are getting, you are calling it as clay. Below U line, you are calling it as silt or organic content, up to you. okay, so what is the equation of A line? I have told above, IP is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20, and U line equation is IP is equals to 0.9 into WL minus 8. okay, things are clear. So actually no soil is found in general cases, no soil is found above this U line. okay, things are clear. You are perfect, right? See, one more thing which you have to note here is this 7. okay, I have told you 7 corresponding to 29.6, right? अभी से नहीं, लास्ट में एक नोट करा दूंगा. okay, अभी से नहीं, लास्ट में नोट करा दूंगा, because we have to finish one more concept which is classification of fine grain soil. So far we have seen a classification of coarse grain soil. First of all, soil is of two types, coarse grain or fine grain. okay, so coarse grain में था gravel, sand. Again this can be classified further as poorly well graded. What are the various cases? यहाँ पे summary करा लेंगे. So the first case was well graded or poorly graded. The second case, this was when it was less than 5%. Percentage fineness was less than 5%. The second case, when our percentage fineness was greater than 12%, you can name it as silt, well graded silt, silty gravel or clayey gravel. So if you cannot say, if it is in the range of 4 to 7, we will be calling it as GMGC. okay, gravel with silt and clay, as simple as that. And the third type of classification, when it is in the range of 5% to 12%, just clump it. okay, well graded gravel with silt or well graded gravel with clay. Similarly, poorly graded gravel with silt and poorly graded gravel with clay. So this was about your fine grain classification. This was about your coarse grain classification. Now let us see our fine grain classification. Very easy, very easy. It is similar to that of this curve only. It depends, completely depends on your A line. So if your liquid limit is less than 35%, okay, this liquid limit corresponds to 35%. Draw one more line which corresponds to 50%. Okay, this liquid limit corresponds to 50%. So you have this A line, right? So below this 35%, we will be calling it as low compressibility, represented by L. Okay, in between 35 to 50 liquid limit, we are classifying it as intermediate compressibility. Intermediate or medium compressibility represented by I. Okay, above this 50 we are representing by high compressibility H. Okay, high compressibility H. अब एक क्लम्प करेंगे ए लाइन वाले कॉन्सेप्ट से. ओके, ए लाइन वाले कॉन्सेप्ट से. फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज माय ए लाइन, दिस इज माय ए लाइन. Okay, and liquid limit corresponding to 30 and 50. So if I have some soil here, can you classify it? What it will be? If it is in the range of 35 to 50, I have told you it is intermediate compressibility. It is above A line or below A line? Above A line, तो first clay लिख लेना. So it is in the range of 35 to 50. So it is of intermediate compressibility. तो CI आ जाएगा, intermediate compressible clay. Similarly, what will happen if I have soil sample here? Here it is clearly below A line, so it is silt represented by M, or it could be organic content also represented by O. So it is of high compressibility. Okay, because it is more than 50, it is half high compressibility, so you are writing H, high compressible silt. As simple as that. Okay, everything is clear, right? Now let us see. So fine grain soil which is passing through 0.075 mm is greater than 50%, then we can classify like this. Okay, you know fine grain soil, it could be clay, silt, or you can also say organic content. So this clay we are dividing further into low compressibility, intermediate compressibility, or high compressibility. Similarly, silt is being converted into low, intermediate and high, and organic also low, intermediate and high. Diagram तो समझ में आ गया ना? So I have draw flowchart in such a way that all these clay, silt, organic matter can be classified as low, intermediate and high. Okay, things are clear. I hope you understood this concept, right? Perfecto. Okay, now let us see some problems. You will be more perfect. जो भी डाउट था वो सारा आप ये प्रॉब्लम्स में क्लियर हो जाएगा. Based on grain distribution analysis, D10 is equals to 0.23, D30 is equals to 0.3 and D60 is equals to 0.41. Okay, as per IES code, soil classification is, first of all, see the soil size. It is 0.23 mm, 0.3 mm, 0.41 mm. Okay, D60, 60% passing size is 41 mm. So obviously कोर्स ग्रेन तो नहीं होगा, सॉरी ये ग्रेवल तो नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज ग्रेवल इज more content lying on 4.75 mmcu, but 60% is passing through 0.41 mmcu. Okay, 0.41 mmcu. So obviously, so it is the classification of sand. Just by seeing you can say this is respective to sand. Okay, things are clear. Now we have to classify it further. How to classify it? We know Cu and CC values. How we get Cu? D60 by D10. So what is D60 by D10? 0.41 divided by 0.23. So you are getting somewhere in the range of 1.7 something. It is greater than 1 but less than 4. For sand, right? It is for sand. For sand it should be 6, less than 6. So it is poorly graded. So poorly graded sand, nothing to check. No need to check CC also. Okay, it is directly poorly graded sand. Things are clear. Now let us see the next question. Question of curvature. See, please write neatly in your notes these questions so that it will be helpful to you. Okay, just मेरा सुनोगे तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. If you want rank, you have to practice whatever questions I am doing here. So question of curvature is given 1.4, D30 is given 3 mm, D10 is given 0.6 mm. Okay, he is asking what is the classification. Very simple. So obviously D30 is 3 mm, so 30% is finer than 3 mm. So मेरा गेस कह रहा है कि दिस इज करस्पॉन्डिंग टू सैंड, एंड सी द ऑप्शंस एवरीथिंग इज सैंड, तो नो नीड टू वरी, ग्रेवल दिया ही नहीं है, सो वी विल बी टेकिंग दिस एज सैंड. ओके, वी आर अज्यूमिंग मोर देन 50% ही इज पासिंग थ्रू दिस 4.75 mmcu and I am calling it as more than, not more than 50%. इसका कोई rule नहीं है. So you just have to see how much content is present above and below. Okay, if more content is present above, we will be calling it as gravel, or if more content is present below, which is passing through 4.7 mm, then we will be calling it as sand. As simple as that. No need of 50% rule. 50% rule था for 75 micron sieve. For 75 micron sieve, if 50% is retained, then it is coarse grain. If 50%, more than 50% is passing, then we will be calling it as fine grain. Okay, so things are clear, right? So based on this, can you say this is sand? First thing is clear. Now we have to classify whether it is uniformly graded, it is well graded or poorly graded. So let us do. So we have to find my D60 value. We have to find my D60 value, or you can find coefficient of curvature is given. Let us find CU. So CC, how can I write? D30 square divided by D60 into D10. So how to write D60? D60 is equals to D30 square divided by CC into D10. Okay, so just to substitute this in your CU, coefficient of uniformity. So it will be D60 divided by D10. So in short, I can write D30 square divided by CC. CC kitna? 1.4. So your CC should be in the range of 1 to 3, right? So that is correct. So what is your value? D30 square by CC into D10 into D10. So that is your CU value. Substitute kar lena, you know everything. You D30 is 3 mm, so 3 into 3 is 9 divided by CC is 1.4. D10 is 0.6 mm into 0.6 mm. Okay, so kar lena, you will be getting somewhere around greater than 10 here. You will be getting greater than 10 for sure. So obviously your CU is greater than 6 and your CC value is in the range of 1 to 3. So it is a well graded sand. It is a well graded sand. Things are clear? Okay, I hope you are getting everything. So just match the following with these terms. You already know ML का क्या मतलब है? Low compressible silt. So low compressible, small compressibility, silt. Inorganic silt with large compressibility. No. Inorganic silt with small compressibility. Yeah, it is correct. So A is 3. Yes, M. Yes, M. So silty sand. Okay. So what is it? Yes, M yani silty sand. So always pronounce this one first and then pronounce this one. Okay. So PT, we don't know PT. पढ़ा है क्या PT? हम बाद में देख लेंगे PT का. So MH. What is MH? High compressible. MH stands for high compressibility silt. So what is high compressibility silt? You can see option 2, right? You can see option 2. So everything you already know these three things, right? ML was 3. So 3, you can write 3 1 dash 2. So 3 1 dash 2, you can see only C option. Obviously अगर 3 मैच कर लिया तो obviously 4 हो जाएगा. So PT represent soil with high organic content with high compressibility. 3 1 4 2. Things are clear? Can you see this question? The sand plasticity chart by Kasegandre is given and he is asking the area marked by P represents. Okay, this area represents. Above A line है तो clay हो गया. See, it is water limit, your liquid limit is greater than 50 तो H हो गया. So CH. Clay with high compressibility. Okay, inorganic clay with high plasticity. Yeah, that's the correct option. Done. Everything is fine. The question I had here, they didn't have the appropriate option, so I have changed the question. Please write down. Now let us solve a question based on our fine grain classification. ठीक है, fine grain classification पे question करेंगे because all the questions we did on coarse grain, right? तो fine grain का भी बनता है एक question. So as per Indian standard soil classification, please write down the question. As per, very important question. So please write down. As per Indian standard soil classification, a soil sample of silty clay with liquid limit 40% and plasticity 28% is classified as बस इतना ही क्वेश्चन है. is classified as, there are 4 options: A CP, B CI, D CL, CCL and D CLML. See, very simple. When I got this fine grain particles, you know what to do. First you have to draw our A line. Okay, what is the equation of line A line? AP is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. Okay, so that is my A line equation. So here he said, so IP value is given, WL value is given. So for this sand, what is IP value for 40% water content? It is 28. For this sand, your IP value is somewhere here 28. Okay, but let us see what is the IP value for this line, as per this. So it is 0.73. IP value for A line is 0.73. Water content is 40 minus 20. So 0.73 into 20. So it should be somewhere around 14.6, right? So you can see your IP value for A line is somewhere around 14.6. So this point is 14.6. Now what was your IP of sand? Your IP of sand is 28, right? So obviously it is above A line. Okay, अगर IP दिया था, let us say 12. So what it will be? It will be somewhere here below A line. Then आपका clay हो जाएगा, then आपका silt हो जाएगा. Now as it is above, it is clearly clay. It is clearly clay. So I have told you three more things. If your if your liquid limit is in the range of 35 to 50, then we will be calling it as medium plasticity. If greater than 50, high plasticity. If here, it will be called as low plasticity. Low, intermediate and high plasticities. So obviously now it will be called as, it is somewhere here in the range of 35 to 50 above A line. So it will be called as medium plasticity, that is intermediate plasticity clay. So CI is my answer. So CI is my answer. I will be getting my 2 marks in my ESC examination. Everything is clear, right? That's how you have to solve this. Okay, so just to see whether to find out your point is above A line or below A line, first you have to find out A line corresponding to that water content. Okay, corresponding to that liquid limit. So your IP value आ जाएगा, IP is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. So corresponding to that water content, it could be anything, it could be 50, 40, doesn't matter, you will be getting your IP value. अगर आपका soil का IP value इससे ज़्यादा है, then it will be above. If your soil का IP value इससे कम है, ये point से कम है, then it will be below A line. As simple as that. So you can classify whether it is clay or silt very easily. I hope everything is fine in this chapter. Before ending this chapter, come to this graph. Okay, just make a small correction. When I am taking A line, right, it is not matching with origin. It is somewhere like this. But one important point, see what is your A line IP value corresponding to 7. I have told you above 7 we will be taking it as clay, right? Above 7 and above A line we will be calling it as clay actually. So this 7 का corresponding value कितना है water content? This is one of the very important bit which is frequently asked in small examinations. So your IP value is equals to 7. So 7 is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. अगर ये सॉल्व करोगे तो अपना लिक्विड लिमिट कितना आ जाएगा 29.6. So liquid limit corresponding to IP value of 7 is 29.6. Please make a note here, very important note. Write down and make it. So your liquid limit WL corresponding to IP value of 7 is, so what is the answer? 29.6. How to get? 7 is equals to 0.73 WL minus 20. Just dump it, you will be getting your answer as 29.6. So here I want to end this. Okay, so here I want to end this. Use this relationship. सोचना, see I have told you 7 is corresponding to 29.6, right? सोचना अगर water content ज़्यादा हो रहा है तो क्या हो रहा है, water content कम हो रहा है तो क्या हो रहा है. Just think on your own, it will help you. Okay, it will definitely help you. But the concept is complete. You will be able to solve any question which is asked from this topic from now on. Okay, that's my guarantee. एक बार revise कर लेना. Just see the notes, more than enough. And whatever I have told you the corrections in the last module, I am extremely sorry because I have told you in this formula BC, right? I hope you have corrected that. It is not BC, it is BD. So I hope you remember, right, how to get it. ABCD wala, just continuation, ABCD, AB, सी डी. सो हाउ टू राइट ए बी सी. फर्स्ट के लेटर पे हम कुछ नहीं लिखेंगे, जस्ट लाइक मल्टीप्लिकेशन, फर्स्ट का कुछ नहीं लिखेंगे, उसके बाद हम लिखेंगे डी एंड देन ए. ओके, सो दिस थिंग्स कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम बी टर्म. ओके, सो फर्स्ट का एक ही है, so we are writing only one decimal after this point, so point to a. See second term, so two decimals after the point, so 0.01 bd, and here this is the third term, right? So three decimals after point 0.005 ca. So that's how you have to remember this Astros wala group index formula. Group index will be studying again in transportation engineering. Okay, I hope you are perfect in this chapter, right? So next chapter will be very simple again, which will be soil structure and clay mineralogy. Okay, see you in next module.